What's up, guys? Here are my predictions for UFC Fight Night St. Louis happening this Sunday. I actually kind of like Sunday cards at times. Gets my Saturday night a little bit more open. This looks like a pretty good card. A lot of interesting matchups, important matchups as well. So we're going to start with Darren Elkins versus Michael Johnson, which is the featured fight on the prelims. Now this is interesting because Michael Johnson is coming from lightweight. He's fighting at featherweight here against Darren Elkins. So it's going to be interesting where he's going to be after the weight cut, if the weight cut's going to really affect him, and how much is it going to affect him. But I think it might not affect him that much because he doesn't seem like a big lightweight. He doesn't seem like he cuts a lot of weight for there. So I'm just going to take a good form of his into this fight. So Darren Elkins is more of a grappler. He's super tough. He's called the damage for a reason. I mean, he wears damage all the time, and he doesn't really get affected by it. I mean, it seems like he performs a lot better when he's hurt. Very good grappler. Very strong deceptively. He really wants to fight on the ground. He's good with takedowns and controlling the opponent on the ground. He's good with ground and pound, but he usually just rides it to a decision. And think about Darren Elkins, you can never count this guy out. Like you saw in the Mirsad Bektik fight, which I thought was a comeback of the year. His striking, though, worries me for him because his striking is not athletic. His punches and kicks are forced almost. He's not the most powerful fighter. He's not the most athletic. He's not the most fluid striker or anything like that. So that worries me in this fight because Michael Johnson, he has some serious boxing, some serious power and speed. I mean, he's one of the fastest guys at lightweight. He might be bringing that power or he might be bringing that speed. And either or, that's going to be dangerous for Darren Elkins. His footwork is excellent as well, always moving around, really good at creating angles. And he's a really awkward kind of a boxer in the sense where he creates angles where usually boxers don't take to throw punches. And this was evident a lot in the Justin Gaethje fight. I mean, he was taking some weird angles, like taking the angle on the right, coming up with the right uppercut, and fading away that side. I mean, you don't normally see that in MMA especially. Johnson's super tough as well, like you saw in the Gaethje fight. His heart is unquestionable. His cardio is good. He has a long reach for this weight class. He's a big guy for this weight class. His takedown defense is the reason why I think this fight might not be close. Because Michael Johnson has excellent takedown defense, and he's a wrestler himself, and lightweights have a problem taking this guy down, let alone featherweights, and that gives my prediction. I'm going to go with Michael Johnson. I'm going to go probably by a second or third round TKO. I know Darren Elkins is tough. I know he has a very durable chin, but I think he could only take so much damage, to be honest. I think the straight punches, the straight left hand set up by the jabs, and just the overall boxing skills while sprawling, brawling Darren Elkins is going to be the key to this fight for Michael Johnson. And then we go to the main card, Komaru Spawn versus Emil Mek. This fight I also think is not going to be too close. Komaru Spawn is one of the best welterweights in the world. I think he's just not ranked that yet. His boxing skills are getting a lot better. His straight right hand, his long punches, his power especially. And now he's getting the angles down. Before he had a problem with the angles and he had a problem with defense. Because he usually left his chin exposed after his punches. But he's a good puncher. But now he's getting the angles right for that right hand of his. And you've seen that in the Sergio Moraes fight, which was his last fight. So that's a really good sign for Komaru Spawn. But it's not really his striking that gives people fits that people should be worried about. It's the wrestling. I mean, he is a wrestler unlike most in the welterweight division, offensively and defensively. I mean, if he goes for that takedown, he's good with every takedown, especially with double legs and single legs and stuff like that. He's really powerful and strong in that area. And if he gets you there, it's going to be a hard time for you to get up. Komaru Spawn, as his training partners have said, his coaches have said, and even evident in his fights, the guy is so powerful. The knock on Komaru Spawn in the past was he would ride it out to a decision. He didn't really throw too much ground and pound. Didn't really go for too many submissions. But now he's starting to change that. His ground and pound's getting better. He's getting more skills on top of his opponent and everything like that. So that's going to be worrisome for Emil Mek because Emil Mek, he's more of a striker and he dives in for submissions when his opponents go for grappling situations, which could be a problem if he fights Usman like this. But Emil Mek's striking isn't too athletic as well. He's very basic in everything he throws, but he throws more counter strikes than Komaru Usman, which is a good thing. But I don't think he should be throwing too many kicks. His punches, he likes to come up to the body, especially in close ranges. He has some power as well. But the problem is Emil Mek has shown not to have good takedown defense. You've seen that especially in the Jordan Meehan fight. And if you're getting taken down that easily by Jordan Meehan, good luck with Komaru Usman, because that's a different level of wrestling. And he likes to go for those submissions. I know he likes to go for the guillotine, and he likes to go for the Kimura at times. And the guillotine could show if Komaru Usman has that instinct to leave his neck out, like a lot of wrestlers do. If the instinct comes out, that is. But I doubt that's going to happen. I think Komaru Usman has that check. So my prediction for the fight, I'm going to go with Komaru Usman. I'm going to go by a decision. I think the wrestling is just going to be too much for him. And then we go to the co-main event, Uriah versus Vitor Belfort. And this fight is really interesting because Vitor Belfort is pretty much retiring after this fight. And this is a hard fight to call for one reason. That is, they can both knock each other out. And Uriah especially. Uriah, I think, is the better fighter in terms of skills. But he has a problem under that pressure. He has a problem when he's getting pressure too much and he's getting smothered. And he underperforms to a huge degree at times. That worries me for him in this fight against Vitor Belfort, because Belfort is as experienced as anybody, and he's a veteran among veterans. So he understands the game to do this to these younger, well, Uriah's not young, but way younger than Vitor is, fighters. They're both pretty much strikers, although Vitor might have the advantage on the ground with that BJJ experience. He's super explosive off his back. But Uriah Hall's more of a striker. He does a lot of unorthodox techniques. He's a very dynamic striker. Huge power, a lot of speed, really athletic and super flexible, and no telegraph in anything he really throws. But he's more of an offensive striker. His defense is always counters, right? He's not really defending too well with his movements and everything like that, although he does move laterally, but it doesn't really get him out of trouble that much. If anything, it gets him in more trouble because they cut him off and they pressure him because of that. And then he's trapped against the cage. So now he can't really throw those kicks like he wants. So that lateral movement could be a liability for him. I think Uriah Hall's best way to fight is actually moving forward on the opponent or keeping it at the center of the cage. His straight punches are really precise, really fast as well, and they're really long punches. I mean, he throws them really long. He snaps really hard into them too. Every kick he throws is excellent. The form is perfect. The speed is insane, and there's no telegraph, and he could set them up pretty well, but he needs a lot of space, and that's the way he fights. That's why the smothering style is hard against him. The space he needs is at a great distance, right? And when you cover all that distance, even his punches are really long too. But then we go to Vitor Belfort. Vitor Belfort is more of a Shotokan boxing fighter. He's really good with his hands, really fast, although he's developed these head kicks of his that have come out of nowhere. I mean, he developed them when he was TRT Vitor, but he still kept those techniques, although they're probably not as fast or as powerful as they were, especially coming with his age. I mean, he's an old fighter, not just regular age, but in fighting age. I mean, the guy's been through so much in this sport. Really good at blitzing. Really good with that straight left hand of his, which he sets up with the right hook or the jab sometimes. The head kicks he doesn't really set up. He just throws them when he sees an intercepting moment. And he's powerful and fast, but I don't know where he's going to be at this age because we haven't seen him do too much at this age. He didn't look good against Kelvin Gastelum. He really had almost nothing off on him, although he still looked like he was pretty fast for his age. So my prediction for the fight, it's a hard fight to call mainly because of that, because I could see both of them knocking out each other. But here's what I'm going to say. Whoever is the pressuring fighter, I think is going to have the better chance of winning this fight. I could see Vitor going this direction, but if I see Vitor going this direction, I can also see Vitor getting countered by the long punches of Uriah Hall as Vitor's falls short. So I'm going to go with Uriah Hall. I'm going to go by a first or second round knockout. Although it's tough to say, to be honest. I think he has a better chance at winning. But if he starts to get pressured out there and gets smothered, he could underperform. So yeah, then we go to the main event. Jeremy Stephens versus Do-Ho Choi. And this is the fight that everybody's looking forward to. This fight is really interesting because you got two strikers pretty much. They could both go the grappling route, but I doubt either of them are going to take each other down. They both have such good takedown defense. And Jeremy Stephens, I think, is going to want to test Do-Ho Choi even more than Cub Swanson did. Now, I don't know where Do-Ho Choi is going to come back after that fight. I mean, he's taking so much damage from that fight, and it could either motivate him or it could break him. I'm going to go with a motivated Do-Ho Choi because I think he's young, and I think he's going to take that loss as a way to learn rather than dwell on it. And you got Jeremy Stephens, who's more of a boxer, but he's been developing some kicks in his game. He has powerful leg kicks, powerful head kicks. Actually, everything he throws is powerful. Everything he throws has huge leverage and is meant to knock the opponent out or break something in their body. He's not technical at all, really, other than the leg kicks. He has really good timing with those leg kicks. His punches are so winging. They're coming from everywhere. It's almost like Cub Swanson's, but with more force, but less speed, I guess. He's also bigger than Cub Swanson, which could be a problem for Do-Ho Choi. Nothing really technical about his boxing, to be honest. He loves the exchanges. That's where he really thrives. He loves the chaos. He has really good cardio, too. Very surprisingly, because he has pretty good output and he throws a lot of heat into his punches. Really good takedown defense, durable chin. He is super tough and amazing heart as well. And then we go to Do-Ho Choi. And Choi is a more precise striker. He's more fundamental and more textbook with his punches, which is a very good thing, especially that right hand of his. That right hand is one of the best right hands in the featherweight division. Very powerful, big for the division as well. He has good speed. He has really good speed, and he's good at getting angles for that right hand, either the right uppercut or the right straight, and he sets up everything behind that punch. And really good at countering the opponent when they initially move in on him, rather than him getting pressured. Now here's the thing about Do-Ho Choi. Choi performs outstandingly when he's going forward. He is one of the best fighters, I think, going forward on the opponent. But the problem with him is when he goes backwards. When he goes backwards, he has a hard time sitting on those punches like he does going forward. He is not too well at moving on the back step. And that's probably what's going to happen in this fight. That's what makes this fight really hard to pick. That's what makes this fight really close. Because Jeremy Stephens can do what Cub Swanson did. but with more danger. So that's going to be tough for Duo Choi. If he worked on his ability to move backwards and throw his punches and try to move out afterward, then he's going to have a better time at winning this fight, but it's going to be tough for him with that style of his. So my prediction for the fight, I've been going back and forth on this for a while. I've been with Jeremy Stevens for a little bit, but I'm actually going to go with Duo Choi. I think the youth and his ability to learn and adapt from that fight and learn some techniques and work on his ability to move backwards, I think it's going to help him in this fight. So I'm going to go with Duo Choi. I'm going to go by a 3rd or 4th round TKO. I do think Choi has a pretty good gas tank. I mean, he went 3 rounds with Cub Swanson in absolute war, and we know Cub Swanson's cardio is really good. And Cub Swanson got tired too. So I think Choi can manage at least 4 rounds. So those are my predictions, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe. For my next video, I'm going to make this Stipe Miocic breakdown. A lot of you have asked me to break down Stipe Miocic heading into UFC 220. So I'm going to have that up probably in the next couple days. So be on the lookout for that. And then I'm going to break down one of the fights of the card coming up this Sunday. And then I'm going to have my podcast on Tuesday. So I'm going to leave a comment below. It's going to be pinned. And it's going to be labeled like questions for podcasts or something. Just ask me any questions you want to ask me under there as a reply, and then I'll just read those on the podcast. The questions with the most likes are going to get read first, and Twitter questions are going to be read before YouTube questions. If you want to send me a Twitter question, just hashtag them MMA meeting. So yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.